Well, hello there. I recently got myself some SpeedPaint. So SpeedPaint's from Army Painter. Bought them myself, they didn't send them to me. This isn't a paid ad. But I thought I would like to see how easy is it for an amateur to actually use these things. As far as I'm concerned, it is the inexperienced amateur that these things are perfect for. Obviously, they're all like, oh, you can use them to paint your armies real fast and all that sort of stuff. And I'm pretty sure most experienced veteran painters, they enjoy the craft of the washes and the highlights. They want to do the whole process themselves. As far as I'm concerned, this is for the impatient. This is for the amateur. This is for, well, me, to be perfectly honest. So I thought what I would do is make a quick video in which I attempt to use the speed paints. I am not a very good miniature painter. Without question. I've only been doing this sort of hobby for like 2 years now, and I don't think I've really learned all that much in that time. So this is a great opportunity to see how good this stuff really is for someone who has no idea what they're doing. Inexperience breeds two conundrums. Firstly, they make mistakes. So first mistake is probably actually the miniatures I'm going to use for this little experiment. I'm going to use some hat miniature 1/72 scale convicts. Well, actually they're sailors and stuff like that, but I'm going to use them as convicts for a Battle of Vinegar Hill, second Battle of Vinegar Hill, scenario that I'm painting for myself. So I'm going to use these, which are probably too small for these to really actually get their full effect in. But again, mistakes. Let's see how well this stuff works with mistakes being made. Second mistake, I actually used a gloss finish on the undercoat. So let's see how well they work under those trying conditions. The second thing about inexperience is that you are often quite cowardly and not very keen to experiment, which is certainly the case for me. So I bought the very little short, simple 10 paint set. And more or less, I'm just going to use the paints in the set. I might do a tiny bit of mixing as we go if I get more confident. But it's unlikely. I'm probably just going to use the colors as they are. And let's see how nice it can make these little dudes look as time goes on. I'll just use these paints as is on these 12 little guys, which we have some sailors who are convicts, both clothed and unshirted. We also have some classic red coats, light infantry types. So we'll see how well this system, these paints will make these little dudes work pretty much as is. As time goes on and I'm painting more of these guys, I probably will start using other paints that I have, particularly around the issue of skin color. Crusader skin. I think we all know what that's a euphemism for. And so I kind of like mixing a few other skin tones in there. Believe it or not everyone in colonial Australia was a crusader. Let's just say that. Anyway, let's see how this goes and let's get painting. All right, so here we are. Here is the final product of the Army Pete's Speed Painter set. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of frustrated. I was hoping that there would be a clear winner and loser, good guy, bad guy in this little competition. But I guess it won't surprise anyone who has any more experience in painting than I do. It's not as simple as that. The Speed painting set is not overtly better or worse than other paints that I've used in my time. But before I get to my final conclusions, let's have a bit of a look, shall we? So as you can see, it works. There's three basic lessons that I've learned from this experience. Obviously, you've got to use a matte paint as the base coat for this to work as good as it can. I didn't, and the results show. But even with the subpar basing, you can see that it is pretty good. It does the job. I especially like the yellow in this whole situation, which is pretty unusual because normally yellow is a bit of a pain in the derriere. But no, I kind of liked how it turned out even with its subpar basing. The other thing, which is again pretty obvious, is it's not just have to paint between the lines. This stuff obviously runs quite a bit. It works really well, but I think here we go, where is he? Here we go, old mate Yellow Pants here. The paint does a pretty good job staying around in where it's meant to be until it begins to trickle out. Again, yellow, I love the color, but man, it leaked everywhere it seemed like. So yes, you got to make sure that you do keep to the lines and really have a lot of control as to how much liquid you have in your brush. But of course, this is where we get to the big difference between the speed paints versus what I was using previously. I was using a really crummy acrylic type paint before. And basically, as you can see, the colors are a lot more vivid. Actually, this is a better comparison. As you can see, the colors are a lot more vivid. They stand out a lot more kind of what color is what on the table. But as you can see, the speed paint is, of course, unsurprisingly a lot thinner, which brings out a lot more of those details. So basically, for someone who is a novice who doesn't know what they're doing, when you use the regular acrylics, you will get exactly the paint that you want and that you have mixed. Not so much potentially with these guys, at least, again, for an inexperienced painter. Things might be a bit darker, they might not run as you quite want, but the detail will come up so much better with your speed paint. So really it depends on what kind of look that you want to get as an inexperienced painter. I do think, even with my hatchet job at it, I do prefer the speed paint over the more vivid colors of the original acrylics. But the real kicker is, ultimately I painted all 12 of these chappies in 3 evenings. Whereas with the other paint, I'm doing that over like a week maybe. So there is a drastic savings in time. I intend to paint up about, 300-400 of these little figures for the game I want to get going one day in the future. And definitely if I want to save time, the speed paint does exactly what it says on the bottle, and to a quality which, I'm going to be honest, I'm happy with. And that's probably the big takeaway from this. I am happy with this as a result as an amateur painter. I know that a lot of people out there are going, oh my gosh, that's horrible. But for someone just trying to get into this wargaming game and wants to start playing games quickly, this is the kind of paint which I think Army Painter is marketing towards with these paints. And I do think they succeed in what they're trying to achieve. So for all the faults, for everything that's really dodgy about my paint job, it's doing what I paid for. Giving me a quick paint job that looks all right and will allow me to paint up a whole army quickly, rather than spending, to be honest, like years getting the job done. So yeah, that's my end result. Now I'll show you some pictures of comparisons between my dodgy acrylics versus the speed paint, so you can see kind of the difference between the two. But ultimately, thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll see me again in the future. And please, 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 please forgive me for my dodgy paint job. I'm new to this. All right, bye.